You've probably heard the term dating engineering. It sounds efficient, right? Almost scientific, a system for something as messy as romance. So why does it make so many people so angry? We're going to break down exactly what's behind all that backlash.
So let's get right to the heart of it. Is this whole thing a helpful toolkit for people who are struggling, or is it just a slick manual for manipulation? Honestly, that's the question this whole debate boils down to. Let's dig in.
Okay, so to understand why people are so fired up, we have to start with what this toolkit actually is. What's inside the box?
At its core, the whole idea is to apply a system, a kind of algorithm to human connection. We're talking conversation scripts, decision flowcharts, basically a set of strategies to get a specific romantic result. In theory, it sounds like a helpful map for someone who's lost. But in the real world, well, this is exactly where things start to go wrong.
And those problems? They lead us straight to the biggest, most obvious red flag of all, the accusation that this is all just manipulation.
There's a fancy word for this: instrumentalization. It sounds complicated, but it describes something pretty simple and, frankly, pretty chilling. It's the act of treating another human being like an object, a tool you use to get what you want. They stop being a person with their own thoughts and feelings and just become a means to your end.
And you know, the language that gets thrown around in these circles really doesn't help. You hear words like conquer, target, or even koryaku in Japanese, which is like capturing a level in a video game. It frames dating not as a connection you build together, but as a game you're trying to win. It just feels cold.
And what that does is create this huge clash with a belief most of us share, that relationships are supposed to be a two-way street, built on mutual respect. This whole engineering approach feels totally one-sided, like it's violating that basic rule of human connection.
Now, this isn't just some abstract philosophical argument. Let's talk about how these theories can cause very real, very tangible harm to actual people.
You see this predictable, really damaging cycle play out. It starts with a technique getting shared online. Then someone tries it in real life, and it just makes the other person feel awful, or worse, it crosses the line into harassment. And then, this is the key part, that person shares their story. As more and more of those stories get out, the entire system starts to look toxic.
And the fallout from that is pretty messy. For one, these online spaces can become echo chambers that amplify really extreme views. You also get this huge success bias, right? People only post their wins, so you never hear about all the times these techniques failed miserably and hurt someone. And worst of all, it can create this culture where if a technique doesn't work, the person who said no gets blamed, not the person who used a manipulative tactic.
All right, so let's zoom out a bit, because this isn't just about individual interactions. It's about how this whole idea smacks right into bigger things, like science, society, and, well, making money.
You can really see the conflict in three key areas. The claim is that it's scientific, but critics say it's just pseudoscience with zero real evidence. The claim is it's for self-improvement, but the criticism is that it's just a business model that preys on people's insecurities. And while it's sold as an effective strategy, a lot of people point out that it just ends up reinforcing really old-fashioned, often sexist ideas about gender.
On top of all that, there's a huge cultural problem. A technique that might fly in one little online bubble can be seen as super creepy or even threatening somewhere else. And because these ideas spread everywhere online, they're constantly crashing into different cultural norms, which just fuels even more backlash.
So, with all of this baggage, is there any way to fix this? Can a concept like this ever be redeemed?
Well, if you were going to try, it would need a total overhaul. First, you'd have to build a new foundation based on mutual respect. Then, you'd need to toss out the pseudoscience and bring in actual communication science. You'd also have to completely change the language, get rid of all that conquer and target stuff. And finally, the communities themselves would have to get serious about policing themselves and stopping harassment.
When you look at the whole picture, there's no single bad guy here. The backlash is really a perfect storm. You've got the ethical problem of treating people like things, the very real harm that causes, the shaky science it's all built on, and the way it clashes with modern values. All these things feed into each other and create this massive wall of distrust.
And that kind of leaves us with one big question. Can a toolkit that's all about one person's success ever really be fixed? Or is the whole idea of trying to engineer a human connection just broken from the very beginning? That's really the tension at the heart of it all.